I want to bring in a member of the Pennsylvania congressional delegation, Democratic Congressman Brendan Boyle. It's good to see you here. We were trying to remember if we'd met each other, but I think we were masked back in 2020. Let's talk about 24. As battles go, how tough is this fight for Pennsylvania going to be?
Well, we're enjoying our moment in the sun. It's been a few cycles now, though, that Pennsylvania really has been the keystone to whether or not you're going to make it to the White House. In Pennsylvania, or in 2016, Pennsylvania was won by Donald Trump, sadly, by 0.5%. It was one of the major reasons why he was elected. And then in 2020, Joe Biden was able to flip it, winning it by just 1 point. And it was that beautiful Saturday morning that when the votes came in from Philadelphia, that Pennsylvania was called, and indeed he had gone over the top at 270. So I think once again, it's safe to say that in 2024, Pennsylvania will determine this election. I feel, frankly, fantastic about how things are going right now. That said, I understand the nature of my state.
Yeah, so what keeps you up at night?
Just the closeness of the, 2016, we're talking about 0.5 percentage point. 2020, we're talking about 1 percentage point. That is how close Pennsylvania is just naturally. We are a great reflection of the rest of the nation. So I feel good about where we are. The fact that Donald Trump continues to take personal attack after personal attack at Kamala Harris, while she and Tim Walz are sticking on the issues that people care about, that has me feeling optimistic with only, 75 days to go.
The flip side of that is that people will tell you, but I felt better under Donald Trump. Now, revisionist history. If you actually look at the statistics, we just did a segment on that. But, we've been talking about this as the vibe session, that people are feeling still nervous about the economy. So what do you do? Because the Wall Street Journal just did a big deep dive about how the Trump team sees that they can court disaffected Democrats in your state, blue-collar workers, rural voters. What do you think?
Well, first, I think, as we were talking about earlier, we have to take a step back and recognize that COVID was unbelievably traumatic for basically every American and certainly every American family. We have seen the impact of that even after COVID, not just in the U.S., the U.K., France, Germany, Canada, you name it. It was tough for everybody. And there were economic consequences, including the spike in inflation, which happened in 2022. Things are getting so much better now, though.
You were working for the programs that the Biden-Harris administration says worked, that they brought the economy to the strongest economy in the world. Why is that message not getting through? What needs to be said?
What I was getting to is I think that there was such an overhang from COVID, especially the inflation that was as a result of COVID, that it has taken people a while really to recover. They may have already recovered financially, and the data shows that clearly, but maybe not quite as recovered in terms of where they are financially and feeling secure. The indications, though, continue to get better, literally week after week. So I look at it this way. The 2024 election is not about the last 4 years. It's about the next 4 years. Every election is about the future. We have a Democratic ticket that is talking about their concrete proposals to make the lives of ordinary Americans better, while Donald Trump is talking about God knows what today, but it certainly isn't about what he would actually do as president to improve the lives of ordinary Americans.
Congressman Brendan Boyle from the state of Pennsylvania, which has the best seats in the House.
Good view.
Not bad at all. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.